The economic effects of the wars just on Syria and Iraq alone have had a really serious impact on the economies of those countries. And we estimate that the war has cost, or the war plus the spread of Daesh has cost Syria and Iraq of the order of $35 billion. And cumulatively about the equivalent of Syria's GDP over the 5 years. So these countries could have been trading with each other. Instead, they're having to close their borders, and people are not able to benefit from trade. In addition, of course, the war has devastated the capital stock in these countries. We've had buildings demolished, we've had hospitals, schools, bridges, and roads being demolished. And the estimate of the cost of that is of the order of hundreds of billions of dollars. But perhaps the most disturbing effect of the war is its effect on human beings. We're seeing something like 10 million people who have fled their homes, either as refugees or internally displaced persons. Among the refugees, the children are not going to school. Something like half the school-age children are out of school, and another half half of them have been out of school for at least 3 years. This is a risk of having an entire lost generation of uneducated children. Can all this be turned around if there is peace in the region? Economic growth recovers only slowly after a civil war. Part of the reason is that not only has the capital stock been destroyed, but the human capital has fled. In contrast, there might be some reason to think that the recovery might be a little bit faster in the MENA region. And one study that looked at oil exporters and oil importers that have been subject to civil war find that the oil exporters are able to revive their economies faster because it's easier to turn the tap on the oil fields. So there's a chance that if there is peace, Libya, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen will be able to at least get a fillip in their economic growth by reviving their oil sector. Observing that these conflicts and wars followed the Arab Spring, and part of the Arab Spring was a desire for the citizens in the Arab world to promote greater democracy in their societies. So we asked the question, suppose there is peace and they go back to trying to promote democracy and they achieve democracy, by how much will growth be higher then? What is the democracy dividend? That democracy can generate up to 2 percentage points additional growth per year in the long run. If the MENA region was able to move from being the least democratic region in the world to a fully democratic region, by how much higher will their growth increase? Now that's a big step to go from the bottom all the way to full-fledged democracies. It's going to take a long time, and as we're observing, it can be quite painful in the process. The growth rate in MENA would go from what is currently expected to be about 3.3% for the next 4 or 5 years to 7.3% as a result of the democracy. So there's a huge payoff if we're able to move from non-democracy to democracy, particularly in the MENA region.